Good evening, everyone. Town of Barnstable Housing Committee, and today is Wednesday, March 19. It's 4:05, and we are at Town Hall 367 Main Street in Hyannis at the Selectman Conference Room, second floor. Good evening and welcome to the March 19, 2026 meeting of the Barnstable Housing Committee here at Barnstable Town Hall. And I just said the address was 367 Main Street in Hyannis. This meeting notice has been previously filled with the town clerks in accordance with the Massachusetts general law. This meeting will be replayed via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via the Government Access Channel, live video on demand, archives on the Town of Barnstable website. And it's the Barnstable Town website, https streaming 85.townofbarnstable.us. And it's a /cablecast public site /channel 1. Notice of recording. This meeting of Barnstable Housing Committee is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable Government Access Channel. In accordance with the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, the chair must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. Anyone? Right now we see nobody. No one answers. Call to order. Introduction of committee members. My name is Hilda Hay. I'm the chair. And we can go around the room. Everybody introduce themselves. Is that okay?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Eileen Elias.
Tom Lauren.
Chris Beach.
Joe Taconia.
Corey Pacheco, staff planner.
Gordon Starr.
And Gordon Starr. Thank you, Mr. Starr. Our staff is Corey Pacheco, as he just said, as well as the town council liaison is John Coe, who is not here this evening. General public comment. This is for public comment to address items not on the agenda this evening. Time limit for the public comment is 3 minutes per person. Is there anything that is not on the agenda? Yes, sir.
Have you guys ever talked about the real estate transfer fee that is being pushed through the county at the moment? I wouldn't say pushed, it was moving through the county at the moment.
It is on our agenda for this evening, right? This afternoon.
Yes, it is.
No.
Oh, it is on the agenda.
I think you had a brief discussion.
We had a
at the
brief
last meeting.
discussion a few
Right.
months back.
Yep.
My thought was that I talked to Dan Gesson the other day, who's the head of the assembly who's pushing it, but he thinks there's more power if we do it as a county. But a number of towns have pushed for home rule petitions to have it, Falmouth and B-Town and the islands, home rule petition with the legislature to move it through just for our town. We would control all the money at that point, which would be better than giving 10% to the county, in my opinion. But it's not something that we push through at town council. So I'm wondering if maybe it could come from bubble
here.
up from down. I don't know.
Okay.
It just would be a tool in the toolbox. And so I don't know if the money gets earmarked just for housing at that point.
The town has the right to earmark it.
To anywhere. Okay, yeah. But it might be a source of income.
Sure.
But we also get to set how much, when you transfer a property, whether you start with a property that's $1 million or you start with $2 million, and then the percentage is part of it too. Are you going to talk about this, Corey?
Yeah, it's on the agenda, but the
Okay.
committee talked about it last meeting. We're
Okay,
going to
so
talk
I'm
about
done
it
with
this
public comment.
meeting.
I'll wait till you guys talk about it.
You're more than welcome to join the conversation when
Yes.
we're
Okay,
talking
I will.
about.
I'll wait.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Gordon. Okay, so that's on the transfer fee, which is on our agenda, and we'll continue the discussion. Recommended a 15 to 20 minutes discussion per topic. And ultimately, the committee may craft a letter recommending the town council create policy addressing these topics. 1. Short-term rental regulation. discuss aspect of regulation the committee thinks may be helpful for protecting the housing stock in Barnstable. And two, as Mr. Gordon has just said, the real estate transfer fee. So we can begin here with the short-term rental regulation, and then we can move towards the real estate transfer fee. Any light on that, Corey, with the short-term
I
rental regulation?
provided you guys with some reading material over the last 4 or 5 meetings for you to kind of digest and look into it, and for you to discuss here as a committee whether or not you think short-term rental regulation is a good idea for protecting the housing stock for year-round renters, and how you want to go about regulating short-term rentals. So yeah, it's up to you guys to decide. Not for me. I mean, you guys are the committee. You talk about how if you think it's a good idea.
Yes, I think you absolutely have to have some sort of regulation. The things that we were reading were proposals, right? Nothing's been voted by the town council yet.
Right.
Correct.
I think they had it on something and then they deferred to it and they continued it. And, I know there's a lot of controversy, so they don't want to, go on record. But it's good to really take time for things. Everybody says we got to do it today, we got to do it tomorrow. You can make the wrong decision. You need to take the time to make the right decision. But short-term rentals, to me, it's very harmful to our residential neighborhoods with people, families with children. Really, they're running a hotel next to your house with strangers that come in every week or two, or just a weekend. You don't know who they are. They're usually coming to party. There's usually alcohol, but you don't know them. The only difference between a hotel, of which we have many regulations, the only difference between that is that their hotel sign is on the web and not on the front street. But it's the same thing. I don't understand why they don't fall under our hotel rules. They're pretty restrictive, and you can't have people there for more than 30 days. You can't do this, you can't do that. I don't know the rest of the hotel regulations, but I know there's a whole little book that you can get. Why, especially in residential single-family homes, why don't we have some regulation? Secondly, if you don't have some way of enforcing, I guess, peace in the neighborhood, I would like to see that the owner has to be there. The owner at all times has to be there with the other people so that there's some control. Because if there's no one there, it's even more like a hotel. You check in, you check out, and nowadays you don't even talk to anyone. You credit card, the credit card, bing, bing, bing. So they may not even know who it is. People have aliases on the web. You might not even know who rented it. But the other point is that if you don't have to be there, then corporations across the country are buying up homes that could be housing our citizens for rental. And they're getting around the hotel rules. I don't want to ag on it, but they get around the hotel rules, hotel and motel rules. And the house is worth a lot more to a corporation. We're worried about the price of houses already. I know my son rented a place in Penn State. We had to go out for his graduation. And I think it was $4,000 for the weekend. And that's in Pennsylvania. That's a big amount of money, especially for 3 days. So people are not going to buy them for residents. They're going to buy them as an investment. If you can even make 2,000 in a weekend, that's 8,000 a month. So all of a sudden, a $600,000 house, you've got a, $3,000 mortgage. Who cares? I'm making 8,000.
Well, go ahead.
So the price is going to go up. I'm
The
sorry.
question is, are you in fact supporting or providing us with a rationale to proceed with short-term rental regulations?
I think you're going to have short-term rentals. I think that there's legal problems with taking away people's right to do what they want with the property. I mean, zoning's an exemption, and this regulation's an exemption, but the justification for this is a lot of people here, even before the B&B, you have a cottage, you rent it out.
Well, it is, in my opinion, it's still very beneficial to a lot of families who cannot afford to pay or who are struggling paying their mortgage or paying, well, I wouldn't say it's rent because it must be somebody who have owned their house that's renting it out. So it brings income in for them.
Right.
And if you're an older person or if you're a disabled person or in a situation where you're not able to go out and really hustle and make money to cover your bills and all that, that's a big source of income. I would not want to take that from anybody who would rely on it. I'm not talking like an investor. I'm talking like local people who are trying to make ends meet or trying to send their children to college. I would not take that away from them.
So would the regulation take that away from them?
It all depends on what our regulation is going to be. That's the decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, think about what do you want to accomplish? When we say regulation, that can mean a lot of things. Do you want regulation in terms of encouraging short-term rentals because they're a revenue source and wrapping more structure around that so that at least the town is benefiting from the fact that these are going on? Or are you looking for regulation in terms of discouraging short-term rentals? Or do you want to break it up and say, well, short-term rentals by corporate ownership is detrimental to the community, even if we can collect fees off of it?
Yeah, well, I'm not
somebody,
looking
like
for.
you said, somebody who wants to, has a spare room or has some capacity and wants to profit from it during the season, that's a different situation.
I wasn't saying banning it. You have to do it. We've always done it. You want to rent out your house. I have several clients that, they pay their own mortgage, but they've got to rent it 1, 2, 3 weeks out of the year. Not 52 weeks though. We can write a regulation that it can't be every weekend. It can't be, we need a reasonable regulation that justifies some proper use of the property.
Is it our role to write or draft those regulations?
It's not going to be ours.
We suggest to the town council.
No, you would recommend some sort of regulation of short-term rentals to town council to be drafted, yes. Town council would deal with that.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that what we put out there is what's going to go on the book.
Right, exactly.
But can we, in fact, ask the town council or to designate persons to draft such regulation and then to bring it back to us for final review and approval?
Well, they want us to do some proposals, and they are the final, the council's the final review.
That's why I asked the question.
You can write a letter recommending what you'd like to see in a policy or a regulation, but ultimately it comes down to town council
Yes.
working with town staff to draft that final policy or ordinance.
So can we set the parameters that are followed, or they
You can make
No.
recommendations.
No,
That's
yeah,
all it is.
That's all it is.
That's all it is,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's
That's
really
the
tricky.
issue.
That's the issue. That is the issue.
You as a committee can make the recommendations you would like to see in a
Yes.
final policy, but ultimately it's up to town council to
Right.
draft what that final
What that
policy
looks
looks
like.
like.
I forget where I read it, but recently I read some state enacted an act that, I think it was 25%, but 25% of the household ownership could not be corporate. Had to be individual.
But I think if we start to discuss this before we get to the corporate challenge, it's the
That's
whole
why we're
issue.
discussing it.
It's the whole issue, Yang. Do we recommend in overall a development of such regulation? And then the corporate aspect of it would be one of the areas that we would also, if I heard correctly earlier, provide our own recommendation about. But the overall piece is, do we or don't we at this point in time recommend such regulation? And I would want to know how it got to us. Who brought this issue forward?
I mean, it's been kicking around.
Yeah, nobody really want to
in-
take full
in many
responsibility.
circles. Well, but this ad hoc subcommittee did come out with some recommendations
There have been,
to
go ahead.
to regulate short-term housing. There were some articles with some background information that had been collected, where they were basically saying short-term rentals of one ilk, right? A homeowner who wants to rent some space out is one thing, but corporate ownership, because it's such a profitable enterprise that it makes sense for them to invest. Maybe that's something that you want to push back on, or you know, put some brakes on, because I was just looking at what we had from before. I guess this is from last August, we talked about this, that overall statewide, non-resident ownership of houses is around 5%. On the Cape, it's 36%.
Right.
And that's a big chunk being pulled out of your, year-round housing inventory.
Yep.
So it's a quality of life issue in terms of what's going on at these short-term rentals. But it's also contributing to the overall housing situation that we have, because so much of your inventory is being taken offline.
So the issue also has to do with the lack of available housing.
Yes.
Sure. It's a contributing
To
factor.
that end, if short-term housing, short is in fact one that we recommend being addressed under the rubric of maintaining, if not also enhancing, affordable or I'm going to take that word out, housing. I myself would suggest that I would support such a proposal coming forward from this committee. But it's not just to protect the housing, so that it's the housing availability. It's also to ensure health safety issues at minimum when someone provides such short-term housing.
So can I jump in?
Go ahead.
Please do.
There are regulations in place now.
Yes.
You have to get there's a registration fee. You have to have the building has to be inspected. I think the health department inspects it. Help me out here.
Yep.
I put my foot in my mouth. Health department, I think, inspects once a year. There are ways, there are noise, you can file noise complaints if you're a neighbor, and the police will come. It's hard to enforce, but, and then I don't know if there are parking. We talked at one point about parking. Sometimes you can get 8 or 9 cars at a house, when you get a weekend full of people. And
So if let me just push the envelope deliberately. Is it possible for me to covertly start providing short-term rentals. in
Sure,
my-
there are probably some in
And
town.
not even inform the town.
Yes.
No, but if your neighbor drops a dime on you
Right.
because of the activity taking place, then you're gonna be found in violation of whatever regulations are.
So that's the gamble.
Sure.
Right. A lot of the regulations we have in town are sort of complaint driven. The health department doesn't go around and check every little cottage in the back of everybody's house. But I also don't think that corporate ownership is a real problem.
No.
We had numbers at one point. There was one person who had like 7 or something, but there are very few big groups coming onto Cape Cod, I think, because the housing stock to begin with is so expensive. You can't buy up like 7 or 8 houses and put them on the market. But it might, but that would be something to say, let's grandfather in whoever is there now, but, keep it to like 2 or 3, you can own 2 or 3 houses. I don't know which were.
I
Put
just
it-
would differ with you. I personally
Say no.
think that whatever housing becomes available for short-term, not be corporate and protect such housing from being corporately managed, only because of I can open up a house, I can live in that home, and I have a way, as you identified, to help me pay for my mortgage and other costs. And whereas if it becomes corporate owned, it takes it out of
Yes.
the housing market. And my own driving principle is that we need more housing on the Cape. It is a
Yeah.
huge issue.
And to say to that, we have to me right now, the Cape is like a retiree community. We have more people since COVID that have been here, live here now long term. And a lot of folks, elderly folks, are very happy at times to have another body in the house to help them to say, or if I feel sick, I have somebody to call and say, can you do this for me? Can you run a errand for me? If I'm feeling sick, I know that person will make me a cup of tea or something. We don't want to get rid of that. I'm not talking about, and as you said, there's not a lot of big corporations that has taken over a good portion of cottages and doing things like that. So the way how I see it is still the local people who are fighting to stay alive, fighting to be able to pay their bills. And I'm not saying the people that are having every weekend the place is being rented and noise. I don't think we have a lot of census on that, saying whatever percentage of what's being rented, we're having noise issue, we're having crowd issue and stuff like that. So I wouldn't want to take anybody's bread from their mouth if that's their means of survival.
I
Or for
agree.
their children who are going to school.
I agree. If you're living there, I often advise people, don't be 80 years old and living by yourself. Have somebody else. There's a million, retired school teachers and other people that are struggling to survive.
But
And,
is that
they
really
could
the
help you
short-term
out,
rentals that we're
and
talking
you
about?
just charge $200 a month or something for their room. And they can help you out. They could call it 911 if you had a medical emergency. I don't want to cut that out, but I'm saying these rentals, these short-term rentals are usually, and we would have to propose something, because I agree, I don't want to stop it. People do use it to pay their mortgage. They do use it to pay for food nowadays, gosh. I don't want to stop that, but I'd like to see the resident stay in the house. You rent this room, rent that. We already have a absolute right for an appurtenant structure, and that can, you get a mortgage to fix up your garage, and you have somebody there that pays you $1,000 a month. There's a lot of ways to use properties,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be for a non-resident who doesn't even visit the property to just advertise online, and they don't do any criminal check. They don't do any vetting. If you got the money, they just let you in. So you get the digital key online from You know, it's amazing what they can do
Yeah,
nowadays.
I'm not a lawyer, but a lot of these buildings are owned by LLCs and trusts. You know, they could be held in the grandchildren's trust or something like that. So you're not really sure who is the main person to contact, which can be a problem. You might want to ask the building inspector who owns, how many people own multiple short-term rentals. He could probably give you the information because they have a computer program where they go online and they can track everybody who advertises in the town of Barnstable for a short-term rental. So they can check.
I checked with the Board of Health and there are 818 registered short-term rental
Yeah.
in the town of Barnstable. But when you look at AirDNA or another website that just researches Airbnb and
Yeah.
sites like that, there's a lot more short-term rentals that are like
So they're supposed to be
upwards of
picking up on those.
$1,500.
Yeah, yeah,
1,500 at least.
Yeah.
Out being
yeah.
on the market currently. So
So I thought the computer program was going to pick up all those.
So what would
Yeah,
our
I'm not sure.
regulation,
So
what would our regulation do to the numbers you just identified?
Depends how we
Or
draft
what
it.
our recommendation for regulation would do?
probably not much.
I mean, essentially, if you think about the scenarios that you have the most concern about, right? It's non-owner occupied properties, right? I mean, they're really not residential properties anymore. They're commercial.
40% non-occupied second homes. And that's another big problem, but it's just,
Well, I'm just saying, you might want to just start slicing that pie up and then addressing, the different segments of it, because that's somebody who, lives elsewhere, owns a property, rents it out, whether it be online or they go through the town registration process, and there's just somebody else in there every weekend, the neighbors are bugged, there's, all the kinds of things associated with that. I mean, that's one category. Somebody, a retiree who wants to let out a room and have, to have somebody else in the house. Is that really the short-term rental kind of situation that we're concerned about? I don't
No.
think so.
because that's usually a long term. You're getting someone in to, live with you, take care of you.
I mean, ultimately, your recommendation can be that the short-term rental would be the operator's primary residence or owner-occupied property, and limit the types of corporate ownership that you might recommend. So you could keep it mom and pop.
Yeah,
A regulation.
You need to keep it mom and pop. So, one issue is the safety, second is the, elimination of housing for our citizens. Three, the cost, I guess.
You could limit it to certain zoning districts as well through an ordinance or regulation.
But if we do that in certain areas, that wouldn't be fair to somebody else over there who would want access to that. It's gonna put limit on people, and that's not fair. If the zoning stop here in point A and I'm over here in point B wants a piece of that pie.
I mean, reality is how Hyannis right now is a primary locale for short-term rental. So,
Probably with all the shops and
so that if I'm coming in and I want a short-term rental, yeah, it pushes me to have to be able to have transportation because there's limited public transportation outside of Hyannis. But at the same time, it begins to push housing as well outside of the Hyannis area to become available. And to me, that's a positive. And that way I can figure that I'm going to be able to afford my mortgage if I buy or if I build by putting a short-term rental into it. And I can therefore begin to think about putting it in as an example, in Barnstable or West Barnstable, which I can't afford otherwise. I mean, I'm just,
How much of this is taken from what? I think one of the biggest things, one of the biggest fallback is affordability. Because okay, if we didn't have some of these short-term rentals, would people be able to afford more of these houses on the present scale and the present condition? Because
no.
there, right now, I see for the longest while, this is the best I've seen it, where I've seen so much construction going on, so many apartments or places being built, but people, and a lot of them are still empty. I see advertisement, I see openings. People aren't taking it. Why? Because they still can't afford it. Their houses out there, but they still can't afford it. So in one sense, when we think it's just the short-term rental, is not so much the problem. It's the affordability. People don't have the job that kind of pay the kind of money for you to even afford these properties that are available for rent. A two-bedroom, what, 2,200 plus all your utilities. That doesn't include food, doesn't include insurance for your gas, doesn't include any other stuff. So right away you're looking at, well, you have to be making at least, or two of you have to be combined to get at least a $3,500 per month.
If we can save more.
Is that again, the short-term rental, somebody who's looking for a rental, as a residence, on a long-term basis, is that really the scenario that we're looking at regulating here, where we're specifying it's the short-term stuff? It's the quick turnovers. It's the people who say, hey, you can rent my house for, $3,500 a week, for these 6 weeks of the year. That's, and that essentially is taking that property offline as a year-round, residential opportunity.
I understand that.
It's not the rental housing market we're talking about. It's the short-term, essentially vacation stuff.
Well, yes, but it still comes back to affordability, because even we still have long-term housing. We still have residents. We still have houses here that are. If you drive down on 28th here, right at that one beside, across from the high school, there's a big sign for opening. They have openings there. The one over by Independence Park, Hanover, they have openings. Can we afford it? That's what I'm talking about. We don't have housing that the regular mom and pop can afford.
Yeah. We need jobs.
We need jobs.
We need jobs that
Good paying jobs.
Yeah.
That will keep people here. Most of our young people have to move away because there's not good paying jobs. $20 an hour, $15 an hour. How many hours do you have to work for the week to pay for a two-bedroom, $2,500 a week, a month?
That's crazy. That's crazy. But
I feel like we're off track here, though.
Yeah, what about
We do, and
the transfer fee?
We have to wrap this up
Yeah.
because now I gotta go to the transfer fee.
Well, I just want to make one, you could move in a positive direction and say, maybe there's a way to subsidize the landlord if they take their short-term rental and change it into a year-round rental. I know they do it in Provincetown. They give the landlords like $8,000 or $9,000 a year. I forget what it is, Corey, but
Yeah.
there's like a subsidy every year.
Yep. I'm forgetting.
Year-round.
Lease to locals.
Lease to locals.
But
Yeah.
doesn't Barnstable does that? Does that have something like that in place?
No.
You sure?
It's been talked about. I don't think anything's
Yeah.
I
ever
don't have any problem
moved
with
on.
that.
We don't have
Up on the housing world.
So
So I just think there's some ways to other
Okay,
ways to
cool.
approach it.
Yes.
can I, maybe a way to begin to summarize the positives of what's come out of our discussion is, one, is the short-term rental enhances the ability of individuals who otherwise could not afford to buy a home And so it provides them with an opportunity to address the costs of owning, of home ownership.
Okay, yes.
I mean, I can draft a bunch of different points that could be addressed in potential policy for the next meeting for you guys to review. And, you know, make
be
changes to it, kind of bring
Excellent.
something organized. And then that could be part of a letter in the future.
Thank you.
We
Yes.
also talked about some of the kinds of information that we might want to gather to make an informed decision about some of this stuff.
Yeah, we could do, we could address a talking point, residency, owner occupancy, duration or frequency, limit the amount of nights somebody could rent a short-term rental, 2 to 4 night minimum stays, stuff like that. Zoning or location control, we could address different districts you would want short-term rentals to be in. Safety and inspection, occupancy, parking, maybe some parking restrictions as well for short-term rentals. Things of that nature that could be addressed in talking
Perfect.
points.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Email it around, look out.
Yeah, and I could draft something up for the next meeting and email it to you guys as well,
Thank you, Ford.
just to kind of keep it focused and streamlined discussion.
Okay. That would make more sense and we can talk around.
Yeah, well, we can talk about it forever. We can get something on paper. So this is good, that's good, but we don't like that.
Okay, the next one that we had is the real estate transfer fee, as Mr. Gardner was saying.
Is that in addition to the 2% CPA fee?
Yes.
We were just talking about
Yes.
taking part of that 2% for the housing trust.
Yeah, it would be a fee on real estate sold at a certain price point.
I know there was something in, was it Cape Cod Times? Was it last month? I think after the town council meeting, because I was watching some of that and reading up some of that. Because
The county
this
assembly.
gentleman was saying that there was that the 2% fee that we're talking about is not really going towards housing as such. There was a lot of controversy that I was reading online about the 2% fee, if it's directly gonna go into housing, because the way they were saying it and the way it was being talked about wasn't really gonna be directly into housing. So I'm not sure.
I agree, I read something too that was
Isn't
confusing.
that something different?
Yeah, I read it, it was in the paper, I was like,
10% would go to the county for administrative and whatever programs they wanted to run, and 90% would come back to the town. And I don't know how it comes back to the town, whether you have to set up a trust fund or something for that money, or,
Yeah, I think you would have to identify where the funding goes.
Earmark it.
And you could go into our Affordable Housing Trust Fund more than likely that we have here to help fund projects.
What was the fee?
It can range up to 3%, 0.5% to 3%, the transfer fee. The fee, no, it's
Depending on value of the house.
The fee structure is, you can set it at 3%, and you can set it at real estate transactions above $2 million. But I'm not sure what the Assembly of Delegates, the home rule petition they put forth, I'm not sure
yeah, there was.
what was adopted by them. I think it's being reviewed by the state currently.
yeah, I think they just want to have the ability to set those numbers.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk. There was a lot I was reading. It wasn't nothing definite.
It still allows each town to either buy in or not buy in, and set their own
Yeah.
thresholds.
Yeah. And as Gordon mentioned, Falmouth, I did speak with Kim Fish last week. Falmouth does have a home rule petition.
Yep.
But it hasn't been put in place yet. It's being reviewed by the state currently, so
Okay,
for a transfer fee.
so it's not in effect right now.
Yeah,
It's
none
not
of
under review.
none of them have passed the state. That's why the county thought that maybe as a group, the county could have a little more political push and get it through the legislature.
Right.
I just worry that some of these add-on taxes, well, we'll just do it on real estate transfers, and it's not it kind of a stealth tax, but it's going to increase the price of the house. It's, whether the seller pays it or the buyer pays it, they're going to want more for the house. The seller's going to want more for the house. If it costs me an extra $5,000, then the house I was going to sell for $200, now it's $205.
Because you're gonna try to,
But I mean, it's pretty specifically geared towards higher end purchases.
Yeah.
Right, if you're buying a $2 million house, are you really concerned that it's gonna cost you $1,600 to $5,000 more based on whatever the fee rate
I
gets
know,
set
but it's
at?
like the old saying, camel's nose under the tent. It will be 2 million today, it'll be 1 million tomorrow. It'll be, they'll need more money. But we have to have a funding for housing, so I guess I can hold my nose and vote for it, but.
Right, the trust fund only has limited funding, so it really relies on CPA funding currently. So if the Affordable Housing Trust Fund had another line of funding it could rely on, it'd help out a lot.
So if the state approves it, it's just in effect.
No, the town would have to adopt
The
it,
town, not
at
just
least
the
the
state,
county
the town
provision.
has to approve it.
The county provision is pretty generic. What it does is it gives each town the ability then to enact it, set their own limits,
Okay.
put their own carve-outs in. It doesn't apply if the seller is, 65 or older, or, you can put your carve-outs in there. You can set the rate anywhere within that range.
I always worry about the state doing something and coming back. I like the fact that it's town, has to come back here.
So potentially every town on the Cape could have a different rate,
You could have a
different
different rate, yeah.
regulations, different,
The county
rules.
program, I think if the money gets collected by the county, it goes right to the county and not to the town, and then it gets dispersed.
Right.
So we could do our own.
But if P-Town sets the rate at 2% of anything over 2 million, and
Yeah.
Barnstable sets it at, 1.5 points
Right.
over
We could do that, yeah.
1.5 million.
Yeah.
It's still just all going to the town, but then it has to get distributed based on whatever was enacted by each town.
Yeah. But I always thought it would be better if we just, at least it would send a message that we like the idea, we want to move it forward. For the town to put up their own home rule petition. Ask the legislature to move it forward.
From a practical standpoint, what are the odds of 15 different towns each getting a home rule petition through the legislature?
Yeah, not good.
I mean, there's kind of an economy of scale to
Yeah.
having the,
Unless it ends up in the
County.
Seasonal Communities Act or something like that, yeah.
Who is against it?
So, what's that?
What parties are against it?
People with a lot of equity in their houses. Does that make sense? You got,
So could there be political pushback?
oh, sure, you can count on it. Especially in Barnstable.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Is it likely to get through?
because if it goes to the state, you're gonna have to have a vote, right? We're gonna go on the ballot or something.
yeah, so I think the bigger question is it worth the fight, is what you're saying, and maybe we should just, you should just move on and find some other, local regulations that will help develop some affordable housing somewhere. We've got the inclusionary zoning, we could work on that.
I personally, there is a need to find more funds for affordable
Yeah.
housing.
Yeah,
And if we the reason I asked about the politic is we should be talking about it, not just say, oh, it's gonna be a barrier, forget it.
No.
But rather, is it an issue, whatever those challenges are, and how can they be addressed? I mean, one way or another, there needs to be some funds for affordable housing.
Well, and the other consideration is, the town's gonna be looking for additional revenues for a lot of things. With the capital projects, with the sewer treatment, with the the comprehensive wastewater plan, there's a lot of money the town's gonna have to come up with. And if housing efforts are gonna be in competition with the general fund for that money, you're gonna be down the priority list. If you can set something up where you've got something that's earmarked specifically to go towards housing efforts, that's probably gonna put you ahead of the game.
Wait, what did you end with? Would put us ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, good, okay, thank you.
I mean, it seems like it. Is that fair,
Yeah,
Board?
we have to have specific things that is gonna generate some form of income towards housing, building more housing that people can afford. I mean, there are housings building, but as I say, how many people can afford it? That is the problem. So how do we fix that? That's why I was trying. I mean, I know that we're still working on list of town-owned parcels, because I was thinking that would be one way of helping with housing, in the sense that if the land is there, then we don't have to worry about buying the land. It's just getting the building, the structure there. Or if we have an investor who say, oh, I'll do it for $50, so the land is worth $10, so it's only gonna need $40 more to put on it, so we could accomplish something. Or start doing some tiny homes, little homes, where people can afford the communities. I mean, the longer we hold back, it's just like the land in Marcy's Mill, the school property down there. We've been talking about it for how many years? And if you look back then from where that place has been vacant to now, how much more costly it is. We just keep talking. That's the thing that I can't understand. We keep talking, nothing is being implemented, nothing is being done. We just keep talking and we fight the tug of war of town and neighbors and who don't want this and who. But at the same time, you have to put yourself in people who can't afford certain things, or the homeless. If you are out there, if it was your family member, wouldn't you not want that person to have somewhere to live? If anytime we can start looking at things like that, we would do way better, and we would have better and get things going. If it was your child or your grandchild, your cousin, your niece, wouldn't you not want to see that person in somewhere living, have somewhere come? Even if it's 50 people living. I'm from Jamaica. Where we live, growing up, you could be a 3-bedroom house with 10 children in there. You know what? We had better communication. We know where each other are. We are accounted for. You're not outside sleeping. The thing that I don't understand with here is not just here, but in this country in general, oh, every child needs a room. Really? In this kind of economy, do you think parents can afford a house big enough if you have 3 children and it's
Exactly.
a girl and a boy, or 2 girls, to put 3 different rooms for children? That's one area that's life that we need to start addressing. Oh, so there are 2 small children. Why can't they share a room?
Right. My wife grew up in San Antonio, Texas, and in a 2-bedroom house,
Yes,
6 sisters,
of course,
plus mom and dad,
of course.
1 bathroom,
Yes.
and
Did everybody
all of
not
them,
come out
they had
excellent?
the most wonderful childhood.
Yes.
It did not hurt them that they didn't have a private bedroom. Didn't hurt them that they, didn't have their own TV set, black and white. But
It's a family affair. They were closer. We were better knit. We were more loving.
but not the regulations now.
Yeah, but it's
the
not
welfare
ideal, though.
people say
Like,
if
nobody
you've got,
wants that, you
if
know?
you've got
I mean,
this-
I understand what you're saying, but I don't wanna live with 9 other kids, you know what I mean?
But can we go
I mean,
back?
that's just me personally, I'd rather have my own room,
Of course,
And it's a
everybody
shame that
would
we
rather
can't
that.
do that, though, you know what I mean?
Can we
We
go
should be
back?
able to do that.
Can we just go back to the transfer fee question?
But it's not one thing.
Yeah.
It's little things. It's different steps
They're all
that get we
interrelated.
where we are.
Yes.
It's not just the transfer fee. Because if I know folks who have 2 children, oh, you can The landlord said, I can't rent to the two-bedroom house because it's a boy and a girl. The town required me for you to have a three-bedroom. Each one of those child need a room. Is the town paying for the place that the woman wants to live in? Because she can't afford it. She can't afford to rent a three-bedroom. She can rent a two. So you're gonna leave her outside?
Right.
How does that work? Because that is part of the housing crisis.
So maybe we should skip the transfer fee and just say, the transfer fee would bring in some more money. The question is,
I'm not against it. It's
no,
not that I'm
neither am
against
I,
it.
but I think maybe it's not the best place to push. Maybe it's going back to the discussion about how do we create more affordable housing? You know,
Yes.
where if we had the money,
Yes.
what would we do?
How
with it?
would we do it?
Yeah. So I don't know how the housing trust decides where to. They do mostly tax abatements. Is that right, Corey? They help
No, it'll be grants.
grants.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they subsidize some of the buildings, some of the
Subsidize,
condos,
they
some of the
can-
rentals that are built.
Yep, they can do they give pre-development funds, but also subsidize, affordable units being constructed.
So they're
Certainly.
deed restricted as
Correct.
low as affordable.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're required to be deed restricted.
Yes.
So I would one thought I had was during this discussion, I was thinking about the Marston Mills School too, is the sewers are there now. And the pump station's being built. You can see it off of 28, so that's what we were waiting for. So let's,
Yeah, let's
I
do
think the
something.
people from the two precincts from Marston Mills are sort of like, it's a hot potato, political hot potato, nobody wants to touch it, but we need to push Corey and his crowd to the planning department to say.
We need to this group need to
Yeah.
push ourselves in that group and start getting something
There should
done.
be some,
Like-
Planning's been done, it's up to town council to
to
go
decide which way to go.
for the Marston's Mills
I
project.
think that's what
right?
happened
Yeah.
last time. There were like three competing proposals,
Yeah.
and the town, the
back
council was gonna take it under advisement and study it, and
And once it goes into study, you can forget it.
And that's been at least almost a year since when we had the last draft and the different
It was about a year ago, yeah.
when we had to vote on it, make suggestions on it. Are we still looking into it? Which part of it are we looking into?
I would just like to point out that, I think he said, battery's going again. We haven't done that much. I think, I've been on this board a long time, and we had a couple of years where there were 2 affordable houses, and 2 and 5, and I think, was it last year, we had 70 or something, and
Yes.
they're proposing, another 100 or something. And sooner or later, there may be empty apartments, but sooner or later, the landlords will be tired of carrying it, and they'll be lowering the price. If we triple the number of apartments, I guarantee you that the
Yeah.
rents would be $1,100 a month.
Well, we gotta get
building
it in
them, how do
there.
we build them? We need the funds, so I guess I'm in favor of the transfer fee.
So allow me to ask a question to this. So if we push for the building, get out, what I'm hearing is put the transfer fee over here, that the real issue is enhanced housing. And if the issue is enhanced housing, then federal law says there's a certain percentage of any new housing that has to be, quote, affordable, however that gets defined.
State law.
I wish they wouldn't use the word affordable, because it's not.
In today's world. So this is pushing us for a discussion. One on, do we relook at how we want to have affordable defined? To where we would like to see new housing built. And outside of Hyannis. And what kind of housing? Are they standalone dwellings, or are they, 2 or 3? What kind of housing?
Yeah.
And it would be great if we could kind of maybe have that kind of discussion and come up with recommendation. I myself am thinking, if you drive down 149 off of, it's beautiful, and there is no housing on either side. as you approach West Barnstable. That whole, there's like, I would say there's at least 4 miles, maybe more, where it's just beautiful forest, wooded land. And I don't know why it's just wooded. How much of that is political because the community in that area doesn't want it.
There's a lot of factors, but let me, again, it's just definition of terms, but when we say we need to build more, what does that mean? Does it mean we want the town to actively be developing housing? Or does it mean that we want to encourage developers to come in and build housing?
Both.
Because when you start encouraging developers to come in, their incentives are market rate housing, right? And then you get into the inclusionary situation, is 10% ever gonna cut it?
No,
Are you ever gonna get out of this whole 10%?
no, with 10%, no.
So, there's
But then you
those
have the
aspects
business.
of it that we also have to look at, like how would we accomplish this? So let's, forget transfer fee and say, we've got a pot of money and we need to get out there and just start getting housing up and running. Who's we? And how do we do
Who's the
that?
we?
But then that's the kind of discussion then desirably to have.
Sure.
And the other is that add the business, the marketplace. Our employers, public and private, Cape Cod Hospital, the school system, as well as private, any kind of industry, they're all needing employees. And they're having to pay extra for people to come off Cape to work on the Cape.
Yeah.
So the need for housing is, I'm not saying anything new. It's just that what do we do with all these us as a committee? And what do we want to come up with?
No one said this job was easy.
No,
So-
it's not, but I think we can really,
Navigate. We can have conversation around these subtopics like for people who work in healthcare, as you would say, or the schools, for our teachers, for our police, for our firefighters, because they're struggling too.
well said.
Do we carve out, say, oh, okay, we need 100 houses. We're gonna do 25 towards schools, 25 towards the police department, 25 towards healthcare, and the next 25 towards the general public. So we kind of share things out or see how, I don't know, who is going to be doing the construction. If we have the money up front, I don't think we'll have any problem finding a contractor to say, build this building for me. So it's how do we incorporate
It's always the money.
all these entity or all these folks, and we try to work something for our community. As you say, who is the we? Where do we start?
It's a good discussion for our next meeting.
Can we, I would like to hear what the town parcels are.
We've been waiting.
Do we have that?
Do we have an update on how they're doing with that list?
We can
and-
it's on the agenda. When we get there, we can talk about it, or we can take it out of order.
We can take it out of
Suggestion.
order.
So-
I can talk about it.
It's up to Hilda.
We'll take it out of order. I'll go ahead since we are right here.
Well, let's just wrap up what we were discussing.
Yeah.
So I can put some talking points together that we can talk about next meeting, that in regards to short-term rental and the transfer fee. And then, maybe on the next agenda, we can put some of these issues that you were just referring to as on the agenda as well, so you can actually talk about it. You're not really supposed to talk about things that are not on the agenda. So we can put that on
Thank you.
for the next meeting, and then we can clarify those. You mentioned how to define affordable, where new housing should be built, what kind of housing. So, I could put put a draft agenda together, and you can, you know, maybe clean up the language a little bit if you want something a little different
Okay.
than that.
And also built by who?
Corey, I'll let you come along with the update and development department.
Can I just add one more thing to it? And I don't know if it was this group or another discussion, but there are so many stakeholders involved with the housing issue.
Oh, yeah.
And is it worth, and this is perhaps another topic to go on the agenda, do we bring in a representative from the public school system and the Cape Cod medical system and the business community, be it Rotary or Kiwanis or both, and hear from them what they have been proposing for housing? Because I know that all of them are addressing it because they can't get employees. And hear them out to help our discussion. So I'm just putting that on.
Town HR too. They're also struggling with recruiting.
Right. Thank you.
So I think that's probably something, a different meeting by itself.
But if
Where-
we discussed it in our next meeting, we
Yes.
could help
Um,
flush it out.
Probably have somebody, 2 or 3 counselors from the town, whoever other entities that we can get in here. Because as you said, there's a lot of different entities that are doing different things. So I think everything just need to come under an umbrella so we can all understand what each person or each group or each organization is trying to do, and see how we can all work together to see if we can speed things up and make things happen.
Why don't some of these places step up and help with housing? I know a lot of companies out there do that.
Yes.
Come work with us and, you know, we have housing, we'll give you a discount. Cape Cod Healthcare is pretty big.
Yes.
They got deep pockets, you know.
Yeah,
Why
they
would-
are doing
why-
that.
They
Are they?
are.
They are doing that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yes.
They
they're
are, wait, they are building or they've already built? Eh, it's a start.
but it's not long-term. I mean, it's a way of getting the docs in until they can get themselves.
Yeah, and then move on to the next people.
Community. But at least, I think it's for at least a year or two.
The nurses and the tech people, doctors.
I mean,
They'll get
most
out.
of their nurses are day workers now.
Does the town do any of that? I mean, I've heard several people, no names, but they're commuting off Cape. High school teachers, even some of the policemen, they should
They
be
have no
part of
choice.
They should be part of the community. There must be a way that we can,
Right.
They say that
topic for another day.
26% of the
topic.
workers come over the bridge every day. 26% of our workers. But also a lot of them go over the other way too, so,
That would be me.
but it's hard to build housing and save it for local municipal workers. I don't know if it can be done.
It's,
Did they do it in Orleans?
it's an option for seasonal communities for,
Okay.
you can have that preference for municipal or
So, but we're not.
essential workers.
Okay, so seasonal communities is still being developed, that whole seasonal.
So the regulations have been released,
Yeah.
they're final, and it's an option for a town to adopt that section of seasonal communities.
Okay,
It's not a requirement. There are 2 requirements in seasonal communities, which is the tiny homes.
Yep.
And the undersized lot provision of
Okay.
seasonal communities.
okay.
The other things are options the town can adopt, but
Okay.
they're not
I'll
requirements.
I'll check on that, okay,
I can send you
that's
the
good,
final.
okay, good, Thanks.
Is there a document on that?
yeah,
Yes.
send that to us all.
I can send the seasonal communities right now.
So for our next meeting, which is in May, do we want to have a longer?
Yes, definitely. A longer time frame for our meetings, since we're only having every other month. The 1 hour is cutting it very short.
I mean, you have 2 hours here in terms of the room, so, but yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
So any other update you have on the inclusionary housing ordinance story or the town council zoning?
Motion to approve the minutes from January.
Well, I'll go through the updates real quick.
Okay.
Jillian couldn't make it today to update on the trust, but there hasn't really been much happening with the trust lately. They haven't had a meeting in some time, but so the inclusionary housing ordinance, the RFP, which I brought to you guys a few meetings ago, that we were issued a grant from EOHLC to update our inclusionary housing ordinance. So we are just about we've selected somebody to do the update. I can't tell you that publicly because there hasn't been a letter issued from the town accepting their proposal, but we have reviewed some consultants. 4 consultants came to us with the proposals, so that should be definitely happening before the end of the month. So
Okay, that's good.
so they're going to look to potentially update our percentage in terms of inclusionary housing for certain developments. So
That's good.
Is there a time frame for them to come back with a recommendation?
yes, so they're going to kick off at the end of March, and then by December 2026 there will be a final product presented to the town, but there'll be a series of stakeholder meetings and different parts and drafts that'll be presented to the town during that time.
So say that they come back with a compelling recommendation and the town decides that it wants to enact that. What does that process look like? Does it just go to the town council for discussion and adoption? Or?
Yes. Yep. Final recommendations come back to us, and then it will be presented to town council.
Would that generally be considered a zoning change? Or under the
It's a
umbrella of
general,
zoning
it's a
change?
general ordinance, it's not a zoning ordinance.
So it wouldn't be a supermajority?
I'm not quite sure on the voting requirements for it, but I can get that for you.
Yeah,
I don't think it would be
Okay.
I can get that answer for you. I don't know off the top of my head for a general ordinance. So yeah, so that's in process, so hopefully we'll be get somebody by the end of March. And I'm just updating you on Town Council Zoning and Regulatory Committee that was just started up, and actually we'll be meeting at 5:30 right across the hall. And so there's a series of issues. Jim Kupfer will be staffing that committee, and they're looking to take up the short-term rental ordinance
Is that today?
topic. Yes, that's today. I'm not sure they'll be getting to that particular topic, but that's one topic they'll be
Discussion.
trying to tackle. So I think there are 7 different zoning issues that they're going to be taking up. So that's a new update from planning and development. And I think they'll be meeting monthly. Local action unit applications, there are no updates this month. We haven't gotten any new applications since last meeting. And list of town-owned parcels, still in asset management. They have hired somebody new recently, so that'll hopefully speed up the review of the parcels on the list. So just still ongoing. Hopefully I'll have something to update the committee on next month.
Thank you. All right, can we have any questions? No? I'm gonna move to approval of the minutes for January 28th, please.
Motion to approve the minutes of January.
Thank you, Donald. Can we get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, and we have here for our next
Do
committee,
you guys want?
One second.
The vote, yeah.
Can I ask
Sorry.
just a
All
procedural
in
question?
favor?
all in favor? Aye,
Approval of the minutes.
approval of the minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
And my question was, I wasn't at the last meeting, but I have reviewed the minutes and I have watched the,
Yeah, you can still.
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't there either. I'm sorry, I have to leave.
That's fine, that's okay.
Thank you.
You're allowed to.
Oh, thank you.
Our next meeting date is scheduled for May 21st. Thursday, May 21st, or May 27th, which is a Wednesday.
Yeah, those are two options.
Those are two options that we have, so we can let Corey know.
My vote is the 21st, before Memorial Day.
Okay,
Let's see here.
21st, okay,
yeah, I probably prefer the 21st as well.
okay. So
21st.
21st, it looks like for
21st.
21st of May.
Thank you.
Great.
Excellent.
Items not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of our meeting.
You guys ever had a discussion about the homeless shelter moving? No?
I've heard about it for
We're
years.
worried
Yeah.
about
It's-
it.
We're the only ones.
The other ones, what, that haven't had a discussion? I don't know, I was just,
No, like, I used to work there actually a while ago, and they've been talking about it for years.
Yeah.
You know, getting the funding. Are they actually doing it, or you're just asking?
well, they want to move it over across from Stephen Sue's.
Where's that?
Stephen Sue's Ice Cream,
High school.
on West,
Or, yeah.
Oh, okay.
there's
Oh,
a
that's kind of far.
housing authority building, ACT building.
Yeah.
They want to rehab that and put in, 60 unit, rooms for people.
It's gonna be tough to get to.
Yeah, and there are 3 elementary schools within,
Yeah.
a couple hundred feet.
Well, right here's the bus station, and you can walk and stuff like that. It's kind of.
Yeah, but we don't, town council, they're saying, why is the town council letting them move? And it's like, we don't have any sway over it particularly. But I don't know, it'd be nice, it might be nice to have some forum where.
Would you say 3 schools in the area?
Elementary, yeah, there's Hyannis West, well, there's the high school, Hyannis West.
In the middle school?
Well, and I think they called the Cobb, there's I think they called the little trailers beside another school. Beside Hyannis West, there's those little, there's a preschool there, it's another school, but.
Perfect.
Yeah, and there are woods behind the school and stuff like that, so, I don't know, I don't know if that's something that, I'd love to be at a meeting with HAC and the Catholic Services and just ask them what their plans are for like day programs and stuff like that, but we don't seem to have a newspaper, we don't, town council doesn't have much case for it.
About having somebody, what's the local business association? Have someone come in that can talk to us about the impact on employers and employees.
There's the Greater Hyannis Chamber of Commerce.
I came here 20 years ago, and there was no rush hour traffic. No, you can't go down 28, from 3 o'clock in the afternoon
Yeah.
till 7. You can't, the roads are just jammed with people that work here and go off Cape because they can't afford it here. It is the affordability issue, and it's a very hard thing to bring all these interrelated and all the stakeholders.
Yeah.
Everybody's, I don't want to change this, I don't want to change that. The builders have their own cost structure. They can't really become a charity. They have to make a profit. They have to pay their bills.
Think about how much money the Cape is losing. You said 26% go off Cape?
Yeah, no, come on, Cape. I think.
Oh, they come, I thought you meant.
But I think more, like 30% go off Cape.
Yeah, but I mean, if they lived here, all the shopping areas, the restaurants, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, they're paying going home and spending it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And when they
that's-
start rebuilding the bridges, it's gonna be harder.
Yeah.
But in terms of traffic, we are gonna change the traffic routes in downtown Hyannis to two-way.
Why?
South Street's gonna be two-way, Main Street's gonna be
It's
two-way.
about time, it's about time.
But Main Street is too small to do that now.
Well, it used
I
to-
mean, the actual street, South Street is fine, I agree
Yeah.
with that, but Main Street, there's just not enough room for that to have traffic going both ways.
it'll slow people down. And I think a lot of, you talk to the businesses, they like the idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because it brings in more business.
It's slow, and people don't have to, if you're coming from West Main Street, you don't have to go up South Street and figure out where to turn around and go back down Main Street. You know, it's sort of, you'll be able to come out of Ocean Street, out of the docks and come up, and there'll be a rotary there, right over here, where the shanties are. And you'll be able to go in different directions. But that's gonna happen, right, starting this fall.
Starting in the fall.
Oh, no.
I'm just
So just to
afraid
let
the
you know,
grandkids
but,
are gonna grow up.
No,
and they're gonna
I
have to
get the
move to
idea,
Omaha,
it's just
Nebraska.
it's the actual road, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so small,
Yeah.
you know? It's really tough. I mean, there's plenty of parking, but people don't wanna walk,
Right.
you know what I
there's
mean?
plenty of
And that's the
parking,
thing, you
yeah.
know, so.
It'll be interesting to see how that lineup comes in from Yarmouth. It's backed up to the 28. If they only have one street to go down, I don't know how it's gonna work.
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. I thought we voted.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.